Children today are anxious. Actually, to put it more accurately, our children, are struggling with anxiety in ever greater numbers and ever greater ways. It's a bit ironic that kids are so anxious today, given that actually, if you think about it, our kids are probably the safest children to walk the planet in the history of the human race. No exaggeration. And yet it's true. We're seeing kids diagnosed with anxiety disorders at rates it's around 10 times more often than just 50 years ago, using the same diagnostic criteria. And it's not just anxiety diagnosis we're talking about. Kids without these diagnoses are struggling with anxiety. Here at schools, in our psychology offices, we're seeing kids really stressed out. Driving here today, I went by a major downtown hospital. There was a big sign on the lawn I hadn't seen before. You may have noticed it. It said, "Anxiety Disorders Clinic, now open." As our kids struggle with anxiety, one of our main ways of trying to help them is to give them medication. We're stressing our kids out and we're drugging them. It's not a good system. We need to think about what we're doing in the way we're raising kids that is creating this problem. And to do so, I'd like to ask you to join me in a bit of a thought experiment. I want you to imagine yourself as a parent. If you might be parents. If you're not, I want you to imagine in your mind that you are. Imagine you've got a 4-year-old. Let's make him a boy. Imagine you've gone to the park in your own neighborhood. It's a park you've been to before. It's a nice sunny day. It's a safe park. You're sitting on the bench. Maybe you've been to Starbucks. You've got a latte. You're sitting on the bench, and you're watching your boy play around in the park, and he decides to get into the sandbox for some sand play. You weren't anticipating sand play today. You've brought no toys. Bad parent. There's a much better parent than you at the park today. She's supplied her little darling with the latest and greatest of all sand toys. She's got the bucket, the castle mold, the sifter. She's even got the wheel that spins when you put the sand on it. She's rocking her sand toys in the sandbox. Your little guy gets in there. He's digging away, but he's looking at her stuff. He really wants it. She's not inclined to give it up, but he really wants it. She's not giving it up, so he tries to take it by force. And imagine there's a scene in the sandbox, and in the struggle, he bonks her on the head with the sifter, and she starts to cry. Now, imagine that before you can react, another parent, maybe closer to the scene, steps up and talks to your boy sternly. "Hey, what are you doing? That's not okay. You made her cry. You can't just take her stuff. Now give it back. That's not all right." Talk sternly to your boy. Maybe he's a bit freaked out. Maybe he's crying a little bit. Now, the question, and I often ask this question, I give this thought experiment to parents all the time. The question is, what would you do in this moment? But when we think about what you would do, a more important question is, what are you feeling? What's your emotional reaction as a parent to this scene? Because whatever you're feeling, that's what's going to drive what you do next. And when I ask parents about their emotional reaction to this scene, there are 2 emotions that are overwhelmingly reported, and I can imagine many of you thinking about them right now. The first is an angry, protective response towards that other parent. "Okay, buddy, back off. I'm the parent. I'll do the parenting here. Thank you very much." Very protective and often quite angry. The other emotional response many parents have to this, and perhaps you can imagine, is embarrassment. As if I, the parent, have just bonked her on the head with the sifter. Humiliation in the eyes of the other parents, as if they're all looking at you like, "Yeah, nice parenting." I've had lots of parents report both emotions at the same time. Now, those feelings are powerful. And by the way, they illustrate very clearly the modern contemporary parent. We really identify with the parenting role, us modern parents. We see ourselves on the hook for our children's behavior. When they screw up in the world, it's very easy for us to feel like it's a sign of parental incompetence. And because we have these powerful feelings, we're very likely to get up off of that bench and get right into that sandbox and reparent our kid. "Hey, what are you doing? Come on, give it back. That's not okay. You made her cry. Give the stuff back." "Oh, right, you already did, because I'm reparenting." What's actually best for your child right here? Well, assuming that there was a real misdemeanor, and here there was both theft and assault, so okay, right? Okay, assuming that the other parent was appropriate, and I know it's a bit stern, but I tried to be appropriate. So assuming there was a real misdemeanor and the other adult was appropriate, there's no doubt what's best for your child. Do you know what that is? It's to sit right in that bench. Maybe thank that parent later if you can. If you're not going to slug them, that is. Right? Why? Because in the first instance, what your child just learned is when I do dumb stuff, bad stuff happens. It's a natural consequence. And it's how we learn. It's not how we often learn or mostly learn. It's how we always learn. He just learned, don't do that. But what does he learn when we, the modern, obligated parent, get in his face? He learns, when I do dumb stuff, mom freaks out, dad freaks out. And instead of learning how to manage himself in the big world out there, he learns how to manage you.